The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal Phyllis and her new life determination. Phyllis, a woman with a mysterious past and traumatic events, will have an important choice in the upcoming episodes of The Young and the Restless. After facing nightmares from her past, Phyllis decides to join Abbott Communications, seeing it as an escape from the pain she has experienced. She knows that the job will give her a space to forget the bad memories, especially the kidnapping incident that she cannot easily erase from her mind. But can Phyllis truly heal by continuing to throw herself into work without stopping to face the deep wounds in her heart? Since the haunting kidnapping incident, Phyllis cannot help but feel pain when looking back on the past. The psychological trauma makes it difficult for her to regain peace. Instead of facing her grief and pain head-on, Phyllis has taken a new job at Abbott Communications as a distraction. This may seem like a wise move, as it will help her keep her mind occupied and temporarily forget about the things that are keeping her from finding peace. But as everyone knows, emotional wounds cannot be healed by running away from them. Phyllis is engaged in a battle not only with external enemies but also with her own inner self. Meanwhile, Billy Abbott, Phyllis's companion on this journey, has a very different attitude. Although he understands the difficulties Phyllis is going through, he continues to push forward with his personal ambitions. Billy has always been an ambitious person, and that has not changed. He wants to follow through with his plans, even though Phyllis has warned him that hasty decisions can cause unnecessary trouble. Despite this, Billy remains determined, not only in his work but also in maintaining his relationship with Phyllis. Phyllis, despite her concerns about her recovery, believes that keeping busy is the best way to cope with her grief. She doesn't want to sit back and wallow in negative thoughts, but instead chooses a positive path, continuing her work and focusing on new projects. But will this really help Phyllis overcome her inner wounds, or will she just fool herself into a life too busy to face the truth? With Phyllis joining Abbott Communications, she will not only face professional challenges but also complex relationships with other characters, especially when she hears about an important meeting between Billy and Aristotle Dumas, a mysterious and influential figure. Phyllis begins to feel uneasy about these new relationships and decides to pay attention to preparing, not only for the job but also to deal with potential dangers. Phyllis may face a difficult choice, as she must decide whether to continue to keep her distance from the problems that happened in the past, or to face them directly. However, her relationship with Billy may be the deciding factor in helping her find her way. However, in this complex and scheming world, can Phyllis find a real way out, or is she just stuck in the ghosts of the past? The story of Phyllis, Billy, and the characters on The Young and the Restless is gradually developing with drama and intrigue. The decisions they make will have a profound impact on their future. While Phyllis seeks redemption through work and Billy continues with his personal ambitions, can the two find a balance between their personal dreams and the reality they live in? The answer will surely be revealed in the upcoming episodes. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Phyllis, Billy, and the race for ambition in a world filled with intrigue, tough decisions, and broken hearts. Phyllis Summers has always been one of the most controversial characters on The Young and the Restless. Known for her bold decisions and strategic moves, Phyllis continues to keep fans on their toes. In the upcoming episodes, Phyllis will face tough choices and big challenges, especially when her job at Abbott Communications opens up a new path for her that is full of hope, but also full of pitfalls. Phyllis and warnings for Billy. Phyllis is not one to be fooled, and she is always very wary of everyone around her, especially Billy Abbott. While Billy is always seething with ambition, Phyllis has a more realistic view of the consequences that hasty decisions can bring. Although she cares deeply about Billy and their relationship, Phyllis cannot help but warn him about the risks that these ambitions can cause. Billy, who has always had a strong belief in himself and is determined to follow his own path, seems to pay little attention to Phyllis's warnings. He believes that every difficulty will be just a challenge that he can overcome. However, Phyllis's warnings are not meaningless. She understands that hasty and thoughtless decisions can lead to unforeseen consequences, especially when they involve relationships at work and in personal life. Despite her inner worries, Phyllis is still determined to give sincere advice, even though it may not be accepted by Billy. Phyllis decides to get busy to heal after the traumatic events of her past, especially when Phyllis had to deal with the terrible memories of her kidnapping. She could not find peace in her mind. The psychological wounds were still there, and Phyllis found it difficult to overcome them. However, instead of facing the pain directly, Phyllis chose to keep herself busy. She believed that work was the only way to temporarily forget the nightmares and the wounds that had not healed. Phyllis decided to join Abbott Communications, not only to continue her career but also to create a beneficial distraction. She hoped that this would help her stop thinking about the past and instead focus on the future. However, was this really a method of healing her inner pain or just a way to escape from the truth? That's the question Phyllis must answer for herself, and she can't find an easy answer. Billy worrying about Phyllis not healing while Phyllis is searching for a way to heal her wounds. Billy can't help but worry about her. He understands that continuing to throw herself into work may not be the best solution for Phyllis. However, he also recognizes that Phyllis has always been a resilient person and has the ability to overcome difficulties. Even so, Billy can't help but feel worried when she doesn't seem to take time to take care of herself, instead immersing herself in work. Billy may try to convince Phyllis to take a break and spend time dealing with her emotions and pain. However, Phyllis thinks that keeping busy is the path to healing. She does not want to be caught up in negative thoughts and decides that only work can help her escape the feeling of emptiness and pain. Aristotle Dumas and Phyllis's anxiety. One of the factors that worries Phyllis during this time is Aristotle Dumas, a person of great influence and a complicated relationship with Billy. Phyllis knows that Billy will have an important meeting with Dumas, and this will not only affect his work but also cause problems in his relationships. Phyllis cannot help but think about the potential dangers of these relationships, especially since Dumas is not someone who is easily controlled. Worried about Dumas, Phyllis will probably focus on preparing for Billy's meeting and finding ways to protect herself and those around her from negative influences. She knows that in a world full of intrigue and conspiracy, staying vigilant is the most important thing. But can Phyllis succeed in protecting herself and those she loves, or will she be drawn into the risks brought by Dumas and those around her? Daniel and the mysterious requests. Another factor that will make Phyllis face greater challenges is the appearance of Daniel. Daniel will make a mysterious request, which will create a lot of tension in Phyllis's relationship with the people around her. Being a smart person and always knowing how to seize opportunities, Daniel will not easily make a request without any purpose behind it. Phyllis will have to be careful and think carefully about what Daniel asks, because she knows that every decision can have great consequences. Working at Abbott Communications. An escape or a trap? Phyllis decided to join Abbott Communications not only for the job but also because it is an opportunity for her to renew herself. In a world full of chaos and constant change, starting a new chapter in her career may be the best thing for her to overcome the pain of the past. However, Abbott Communications is not a place where work is simple. With Phyllis's involvement, conflicts and troubles may only grow larger. She will have to face challenges not only from those around her but also from the psychological barriers that she has not yet resolved. Will working at Abbott Communications help Phyllis find the healing she is looking for, or is it just a way for her to avoid the pain in her heart? Conclusion: important decisions. Phyllis Summers is at an important crossroads in her life. She will have to make big decisions about how to deal with the past and how to build a future. The relationships around her, especially with Billy and Daniel, will have a profound impact on her choices. Working at Abbott Communications can be an opportunity, but it can also be a great challenge. Can Phyllis find healing, or will she continue to live in the shadow of the past? The story of Phyllis, Billy, and Daniel will definitely bring a lot of drama and surprises to fans in the coming time. The Young and the Restless continues to prove its appeal with dramatic plots, complex relationships, and surprising twists. One of the most notable and intriguing relationships is that between Phyllis Summers and Billy Abbott. After the trials they both went through, their relationship never really ended, despite being interrupted many times. In recent episodes, Phyllis and Billy are facing important turning points, and their feelings will once again become a dramatic highlight. Can this love be reborn after all the wounds and betrayals? Daniel and worrying for Mom after all the events that Phyllis has been through. No one worries about her more than her son, Daniel. As a son who cares for his mother with all his heart, Daniel cannot help but feel heartbroken and worried every time he remembers what Phyllis has endured. The horrific events of the past, especially Phyllis's kidnapping and the psychological trauma she faced, still haunt Daniel. Although he tries to appear strong and resilient, these worries increase when new news shows that Martin Laurent, the perpetrator of the kidnapping, is on the run from prison. This raises Daniel's fears for his mother's safety, as he knows that Martin is not someone who will give up easily on his goals. What will Daniel do to protect his mother and family? His anxiety will continue to be a major factor, motivating him to find a way to keep Phyllis from the dangers that lurk. However, will he be able to protect Phyllis when she tends to face her problems alone? Phyllis warns Billy, but Billy refuses while Daniel worries about his mother. Phyllis faces another challenge, the stubbornness of Billy Abbott. Phyllis and Billy's relationship has always been full of ups and downs. They have gone through many trials, from reconciliation to breakups, but in the end, their relationship still cannot be resolved. Phyllis has warned Billy many times about his ambitions and decisions. She knows that Billy has always had great ambitions and that he is sometimes stubborn in pursuing his plans. However, despite her warnings, Phyllis realizes that her words cannot change Billy's determination. Billy seems to never stop fighting for his goals, and he always feels that he can overcome any challenge. However, Phyllis is very aware of the dangers that Billy may encounter. She tries to discourage him with warnings, but Billy does not seem to want to listen. Phyllis's advice may be ignored, and this will lead to tense situations in their relationship. The return of Phyllis and Billy's romantic relationship. Despite all the hardships and Billy's stubbornness, one factor that cannot be denied is the strong attraction between Phyllis and him. After the tensions with Sally, Phyllis and Billy's relationship seems to be on the mend. Phyllis feels vulnerable and alone, and she seeks comfort in Billy's presence. As tensions with Sally escalate, Billy cannot help but feel drawn to Phyllis, partly because he has always had a deep connection to her that he cannot explain. Billy finds that no matter how much time passes, he cannot escape his relationship with Phyllis. The bond between them is so strong, and even though they are apart, their presence always brings them back together. Phyllis realizes that only Billy can understand her in difficult times, and she is not afraid to let him see her vulnerability. Sally can't understand you like I do. In a crucial moment, when Billy is hesitant and doesn't know what to do, Phyllis may utter the seductive words, "Sally can't understand you like I do." These words are not only true, but also a seductive invitation to pull Billy back into her arms. When Billy is wavering and doesn't know who to pursue, these words may be too much for him to refuse. And when he surrenders to Phyllis, will Billy regret his decision? The relationship between Phyllis and Billy has never been simple. Despite many reconciliations and breakups, they have always had a special bond. This bond cannot be easily erased, and despite great challenges, they continue to find ways to get back together. Their love may be an imperfect union, but it is very real. Daniel's mysteries and his relationship with Phyllis. There is no denying that Daniel will be a key player in this story. The mysteries and troubles he faces will continue to add to the drama. Phyllis will not only have to deal with Billy's problems but also with what Daniel may bring. With Daniel's concerns about his mother's safety, the dangers will come not only from the past but also from the present. Will Phyllis be able to protect Daniel and her family from these dangers? Phyllis, Billy, and the unpredictable romance. The love story between Phyllis and Billy will certainly never be easy. Despite their conflicts and stubbornness, their relationship is always full of passion and charm. Will they be able to overcome the challenges and find happiness again? The answer will be revealed in the following episodes, when important decisions will affect not only their relationship but also the future of other characters on The Young and the Restless.